Thank you, member. Recognizing Surrey Panorama.
Honourable Chair, thank you very much. Appreciate that. And Chair, before I continue with my questions, I think it's important that this House understand the perspective I bring to this debate. I'm the MLA for Surrey Panorama, but before I was elected to serve the people of British Columbia in this chamber, I served them as a member of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. I didn't learn about policing from briefing notes. I learned about it on the streets of Surrey and the interior lands of the Williams Lake Detachment. I served in E Division, in a counter-terrorism unit, working to keep British Columbians safe from some of the most serious threats our province has faced. I worked with the drug section in Surrey, investigating organized crime networks, dismantling drug operations, and understanding how these criminal enterprises function from the inside. I worked in various plainclothes roles in Surrey during the gang conflict. I was on the ground during some of the most violent periods in Surrey's history. I know these networks. I know how they recruit. I know how they operate. I know their tactics, their structures, and their vulnerabilities. I retired as a sergeant in the Surrey RCMP, not behind a desk in Victoria, but leading officers on the front line of one of the most challenging policing environments in Canada. I was in charge of a district office in Guildford, engaging directly with the community. I sat down with business owners, with families, with community leaders. I listened to their concerns. I worked with them to find solutions. I built the relationships that are essential to effective policing. I partook in quality assurance reviews for Surrey Detachment, auditing the files, practices, and policy of the largest RCMP detachment in Canada. That means I reviewed complex investigations, assessed operational procedures, identified systemic gaps, and ensured accountability. I didn't just do police work, I evaluated it at the highest level. And perhaps most relevantly to this chamber, I served as treasurer of the Mounted Police Professional Association of Canada when we took the government to court for the right to associate, and we won. I understand the intersection of policing and politics. I understand what happens when governments make decisions that affect frontline officers without understanding the operational realities. So when I ask questions about policing, about organized crime, about community safety, about the gang and extortion crisis affecting our communities, I'm asking from a foundation of direct, hands-on experience. I've worked counter-terrorism. I've investigated drug trafficking. I've disrupted gang operations. I've led officers. I've engaged communities. I've audited the largest detachment in the country. I know what works and what doesn't. I know the difference between political announcements and operational capacity. I know the difference between authorized positions and boots on the ground. I know the difference between a task force that gets results and a task force that gets press coverage. I bring that experience to this House, not to grandstand, but to ensure the decisions we make here are grounded in operational reality, not political convenience. The people of Surrey and the people of British Columbia deserve evidence-based policy informed by people who have actually done the work. That's the standard I hold myself to, and that's the standard I expect from this government. So, while I always strive for collegial discussion, I understand that this might get a little bit spicy. And I do understand that a lot of these problems came from the current Minister of Transportation when he was Solicitor General, and we had this transition in Surrey that was a real problem. I have a lot of questions. So I did give the Minister a heads up on a lot of the numbers that we may need. So hopefully we can move just a little bit quicker while we're doing this. So, Chair, my first question would be, how many RCMP, provincial RCMP officers do we have in BC?
Public Safety Minister.
Could I ask the member to repeat the question at the very end? Thank you.
How many?
Surrey Panorama.
Sorry, Chair, thank you. How many provincial RCMP officers do we have in BC?
Solicitor General.
Thank you very much to the member for the question. The number of established members in the provincial RCMP as of January 1st, 2026 is 2,400, and this does not include the provincial unit that is providing supports in Surrey during the police transition.
Surrey Panorama.
Thank you, Chair. How many positions did we have 10 years ago?
Solicitor General.
Hi, just hoping for clarification whether the member is referring to the established members 10 years ago or the authorized strength 10 years ago.
Surrey Panorama.
Thank you. Yes, I'd like to go with the authorized strengths from both numbers, if that would be convenient. Thank you very much, Chair.
Minister of Public Safety.
Very much, Chair, and thank you to the member opposite for the question. The provincial annex, which was established as part of the 2012 Provincial Police Service Agreement, authorized 2,602 provincial members, and this number has remained the same since 2012. It's important to note, though, while the authorized strength of the PPS has not changed, the province has made significant investments to ensure that that authorized strength is funded to its full complement, and this was a significant advance that has been made, and also that strategic and targeted investments have been made into province-wide teams such as the provincial support team, the emergency response team, the major crimes unit, and that provide really important and necessary capacity and expertise that supports community safety across our province.
Surrey Panorama.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Thank you for the answer. The 2602, there's been a few questions in question period and in the media where this minister has said that we've expanded and put in record amounts of spending into policing, into expanding that number. But if the number is the same, can I get an explanation as to how we've spent, from what I gather, double the amount of money but still have the same authorized strength?
Recognizing our Minister of Public Safety.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. And I believe the comments that the member referred to that have been made previously in question periods and other discussions have not been that we have expanded the authorized strength. And my previous answer spoke to the authorized strength being at that same level of 2,602. But what I have spoken about is the significant steps that we have taken to ensure that the authorized strength is funded to its full complement. And so this is that historic $230 million investment that I've often spoken about in this House, which has rolled out over 3 years as part of the province's Safer Communities Action Plan. And this investment was really about addressing long-standing staffing gaps, particularly in rural and remote communities. And we've had a chance in this House to talk about the distinct needs of rural and remote communities. So this investment is to address those vacancies and also to either stand up or to expand specialized investigative units. And even though we have seen rising inflation and investigative costs, the provincial police service is now close to its full authorized strength with 256 additional members and 80 additional support staff that have now been hired. And this is significant work, and so I don't agree with the member's characterization that there has been no change in terms of the policing levels in the province. And so I'd like to speak about what this looks like on the ground in communities. And so really we have increased the resources, as I've noted, for rural and remote communities. And as an example, 16 members have been added to provincial units across 15 communities, ranging from Agassiz to Vanderhoof. Substantial additions in serious and organized crime in 2018 were made, such as additions to the Combined Forces Special Enforcement Unit, that is the largest integrated unit in Canada directed to combating organized crime. And also in units such as the Anti-Human Trafficking Unit, the Illegal Enforcement, Firearms Enforcement Unit, and also the work of the Uniform Gang Enforcement Team. We've also added 40 frontline members in 2019 in provincial units across 22 communities in our province, from Burns Lake all the way to 100 Mile and Agassiz. So these are really significant investments, and I'm happy to go into further detail that really has brought the level of police in communities, ensuring that we have safe, thriving communities to higher levels than they have ever been.
Thank you, Minister. Surrey Panorama.
Okay, well, yes, thank you to the Minister, Chair. I think I understand that a previous minister, sounds like, had not funded these positions, and now we are actually getting funding for them. So I understand that. It works out very well. I want to change gears a little bit and go to Surrey Police Service. And in 2019, I was looking at the transition, once again, that was overseen by the current Minister of Transportation, funny enough, but who said this would be I believe it was a 3-year transition. And I was looking at it and looking from the outside, figuring it looked like, at the current recruitment rate they had, a 12-year process. Well, we are now at 8 years, and we are not there yet. 8 years of this transition. So, are we on a faster schedule than my 2019 projection of 12 years, or are we tracking slower than that?
Recognizing our Solicitor General.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the question about the Surrey transition, the transition from the RCMP to the Surrey Police Service, which, as the member knows, was initiated by the former mayor of Surrey and is unprecedented in terms of its scale and really in all aspects of this transition. And the transition continues towards completion with the SPS now as the city's police agency of jurisdiction, but also supported by the RCMP, who is providing temporary transitional assistance. And there have never been more officers deployed than there are currently in Surrey. And the transition completion really depends on the SPS expanding gradually to assume all remaining policing responsibilities in Surrey while the RCMP safely demobilizes in a measured manner that ensures continued stability in Surrey and in broadly in BC. And the provincial oversight and superintendence of the transition continues, and that really is the province's role, one of superintendence and oversight. And we are working with all parties, the city, SPS, the RCMP, have all been at the table and continue to be at the table so that the transition can be completed in a timely manner with safety for the residents of Surrey as our North Star, where our commitment has been clear and steadfast that we will ensure that Surrey residents and officers are safe throughout the transition.
Surrey Panorama.
Thank you very much, Chair. As of January 25th, 2025, I think that's supposed to be 2026, actually. The number that you had actually, the Minister's office had provided was 485 sworn Surrey Police Service officers. Do we know how many there are as of today? I think you said there would have that number for today.
Member, the team has requested a brief 5-minute recess, so we are going to take this chamber into recess for 5 minutes, and we'll be right back. Contemplating the estimates of the Ministry of Public Safety, and the Minister is just taking some time to answer a question that was posed before our recess. Recognizing our Minister of Public Safety.
Thank you very much, Chair. So the most recent figure I'm able to share now is from April 1st, 2026, and it includes soft vacancies and recruits in training. And so there were 850 local police officers in Surrey, and of these, 626 are SPS, and 223 are RCMP members assigned to provide temporary assistance.
Surrey Panorama.
I've got a question, Chair, about the breakdown of SPS by rank. And perhaps I could just ask, does the Minister have the numbers for those? Because if they don't, I don't want to waste too much time on that.
Recognizing our Solicitor General.
Thank you very much, Chair. And I am able to share these numbers. And so There are 33 inspectors to chief constables, so these are commissioned officers, 138 staff sergeants and sergeants, and 454 constables. And this number includes just over 50 recruits that are currently in JIBC training. And so this adds up to 625, and then the difference to 626 is made up by the chief constable.
Surrey Panorama.
Thank you very much for that answer. Yeah, I'm just checking, and I'm going to, again, try and speed this up a little bit, because I did ask for the Vancouver numbers as well. But to skip all of the rest of it and get right down to it is that the number's slightly different from what was provided to me earlier on from another source, but very close, and it's about 65% of the Surrey Police Service is frontline, or not frontline constables, is constables, whereas you go to the Vancouver Police Department and 82.5% of their force becomes constables. So my question, I guess, would be, is anybody overseeing who's getting hired and why we're basically so top-heavy and lacking in constables to actually do a lot of the frontline work in Surrey?
Recognizing our Minister of Public Safety.
Thank you very much, Chair, and I do appreciate the question. Both the Vancouver Police Department and Surrey Police Service does, work policing very large urban communities. I do think it is important, though, to keep in mind that SPS is really a new and an evolving police service. And so this, I think the balance between training staffing that the member noted really reflects the need and the reality of building a police service from the ground up. So that means ensuring that there is the appropriate policies and structures and training, and that structure needs to be there, and it continues to be relied upon as SPS continues to grow. And in terms of oversight, under the Police Act, the board plays a key role in ensuring oversight and accountability to the public as well.
The MLA from Surrey Panorama.
I do appreciate that answer, that a minister that does recognize the reality of growing a police force. And yeah, so that answer is more than welcome, because clearly it was not the original thought when this force was put into place through this government. But again, thank you for that answer. And Chair, I'd like to now turn to police training capacity. You know, and I think we've got a little bit of a disturbing pattern of again, why we don't have the constables coming through like we should. So I will ask, the Justice Institute was able to graduate 192 officers in 2024. In 2025, we were told the capacity to be raised to 288 officers. So has that capacity increase been achieved?
Solicitor General.
Thank you very much. The short answer to the question is yes, and this is work that I think we're particularly proud of. I hear from police of jurisdiction. I hear from municipal leaders, from community members about the challenges around recruitment and retention of officers, and endeavoring to be responsive to what we were hearing was really behind our province's investment of $4 million to expand the training at the JIBC by 50% for the 2025-26 academic year, from 192 to 288 officers, and that was realized through the one-time investment. Some of that investment included infrastructure that the JIBC was able to leverage further to further increase the police academy class size from 96 to 144. And so this means that as many as 432 trained police recruits will graduate from the academy in any given year. And I'm pleased that the first expanded class will in fact begin on Monday. And this really reflects, I think, a strong partnership and real work between the JIBC, between municipal police agencies, chiefs, boards, police associations, and really is important to ensuring that we have trained recruits to serve communities across the province.
Recognizing the MLA from Surrey Panorama. Thank you for that answer. And Chair, I have several questions, but again, in the spirit of speeding things up and not waiting for the answers, I went back and analyzed the JIBC officer assignments from January 2024 to May 2025. The Vancouver Police Department asked for 91 officers. They were assigned to 88% of what they requested. Surrey Police Service asked for 75 officers, and they were only able to assign them 46 officers. It's 61% of their request. So, Minister, if the VPD is receiving 88%, well, SPS, which is, as we're talking about, still building up to operational strength, only received 61%. Can you explain, Chair, can you explain why SPS is being shortchanged when their service needs they need the service of the officers most urgently? Who makes that decision?
Solicitor General.
Thank you very much. So the JIBC determines the seat allocation, and I think the numbers that the member is referring to aren't quite current and really and are part of the reason for that $4 million investment in the expansion of seats at the JIBC, which was really the catalyst for that was the JIBC, the province, municipal departments, and really reflected a joint effort. And we were considering in that investment the needs of SPS, certainly as a growing department, and also the needs of departments across the province. We know that there are many officers who are retiring, for instance, and that informs the training requirements in jurisdictions. And really pleased to confirm that with the expansion that I just walked through in my previous answer, that now JIBC has the capacity to meet the request of every police department that is training officers at the JIBC.
Surrey Panorama.
Well, thank you for the answer. And Chair, that throws off my question a little bit because I was going to ask about the expanded training facilities that are allowed for Vancouver and Victoria. So if the JIBC can now meet the needs of the municipal detachments, why are we expanding the other two? And if there's a reason for that, why are we not allowing Surrey as a growing force to have their own training facility?
Solicitor General.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you for the question, and really such an important area to dig into the training requirements of police agencies and the work that we're doing to help meet those. And so the two pilots, that the member referenced for satellite campuses in Victoria and Vancouver have really been conceived of as pilots to address the surge capacity needs for Victoria and Vancouver policing. When we announced these, it really is a historic move forward to have satellite campuses tethered to the Justice Institute to maintain the high quality of instruction and ensure that consistent standards and practices are there across the board. And Chief Constable Wilson of the Vic PD referenced in the announcement, and the Vic PD, the Victoria Satellite Campus of the JI will serve not only the Victoria Police Department, but also other police departments in the island. And one of the deterrents for prospective officers was leaving their homes, their communities, to travel to New Westminster to participate in the JIBC training. And so being able to offer training closer to home was a significant barrier that was reduced to address the recruitment needs of island communities. And then what the decision to approve the satellite campuses in Victoria and Vancouver did is also offer up more space should the SPS need this. And we had conversations with the City of Surrey about their proposal to potentially host a satellite campus, and ultimately determined that opening space within the Justice Institute itself would provide the adequate spaces to meet SPS's needs, and also not put an additional burden on the SPS, which, as we've just discussed, is a growing police service. So I think we've arrived at I think a quite compelling and I do think a historic, never been done solution to complementing the work of the JIBC, ensuring that the needs of SPS can be met, and also allowing Victoria and Vancouver to meet to really surge capacity at this time.
Surrey Panorama.
Okay, thank you for that answer. And Chair, I mean, really from that answer, it sounds a lot like JIBC isn't quite getting there to meeting SPS's training needs, but given that we've just announced VPD would be allowed to train their own officers, why won't we allow Surrey to train their own officers? And I would say, is your refusal to allow SPS to train their own officers an indication that you lack faith in the SPS and the previous NDP ministers who created this transition? And I will say, I have no doubts about the officers and the members that work in any of our police detachments, all fabulous. It's a system that we're now fighting to get this policing under control in each and every one of ours. It's just Surrey happens to be the epicenter of the experiment and why we're dealing with it.
Minister.
Could the member just restate the question, please?
Surrey Panorama.
So if we just go right to that, is the refusal to allow SPS to train their own officers an indication of lack of faith in the SPS and the previous NDP ministers who created this transition?
Minister of Public Safety.
Thank you very much. And I think as we've spoken about SPS and their training requirements, I think I've had the opportunity to emphasize just how truly historic, large-scale, complex this transition has been, and essentially standing up. We are at year 5 of standing up a new police service in a large urban area. And this is significant work. And on the training front, I think it's important to note that the expansion of the JIBC, expanding capacity now twice that I've noted, provides the requirements for training seats that Surrey has. And the JIBC, with the additional capacity, has been able to be responsive also to Surrey's incremental requests. Just recently, they made a request for an additional 5 training seats, and that were over and above their initial ask, and that request was accommodated by the JIBC. And I think it's also important to keep in mind that the satellite training campus that has been approved as a pilot in Victoria and in Vancouver is not an independent academy as much as truly a satellite campus that is strongly tethered to the Justice Institute in terms of curriculum and standards. And so I don't think the members' sort of characterization of this as a refusal to train officers quite aligns with what I've been able to touch on, and really the approach to training that we are taking for the province is endeavoring to be very responsive to the needs of communities, and that absolutely includes, must include and does include Surrey as a very significant force being established right now.
Recognizing Surrey Panorama.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the answer. Well, basically, from the outside, it sure looks like the minister is downloading the costs of the transition to the City of Surrey for what has become basically a complete fiasco and not fair to the members on the road and running that detachment and policing that city. 8 years in, we're not done yet. My property tax notice wants to know, when will this transition be complete?
Minister of Public Safety.
Thank you very much. I'm not sure I agree with the characterization that the member made about the shifting of costs per se, because the Police Act per Section 15 states that the City of Surrey is responsible for all the costs of its policing within its municipal boundaries. And this means that the city is responsible for all policing costs, including the costs of implementing its police transition. The province, though, has committed significant funds, $150 million over 5 years, to help with transition costs. And now there are 4 of the 5 districts have been transitioned, and the transition continues with the RCMP and the SPS working together, and all parties, including the province, the federal government, the RCMP, and the city of Surrey, are at the table, have been at the table, and remain at the table to ensure a timely and safe completion of the transition.
Thank you, Minister. Surrey Panorama.
Speaking of transitioning, I will transition into another topic here with policing involved. Mr. Chair, 5 months ago, probably closer to 6 months ago now, there was testimony in the House of Commons that stated there were 50,000 people in Canada who are non-compliant with immigration orders, meaning they should be removed from the country. We also learned there are approximately 32,000 active deportation warrants in Canada. Given the open source intelligence and real-world evidence shows that many perpetrators of extortion are foreign students here fraudulently or individuals already subject to deportation orders, I feel this should be a priority. So my question, Chair, is how many of those 50,000 immigration non-compliant individuals are estimated to be in British Columbia?
Minister of Public Safety.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thanks to the member for the question. I know we're transitioning the discussion from a focus on the SPS to the most recent question you asked, but I did want to briefly comment on the member's characterization of the Surrey transition and underscore how hard SPS has been working, the RCMP has been working, the officers of the SPS, the police board, on this truly unprecedented transition. And I think we're very fortunate to have the engagement of all of the parties on the table working towards the same goal, I believe, which is safe communities in Surrey. In terms of the member's question around the regional breakdown, that is not information that we would have, but that's something that you could seek from Immigration and Refugee and Citizenship Canada. So those would be federal figures, but I think a bit of the subtext of the member's question spoke to the involvement of people that are not in Canada lawfully, and some of the extortion crimes that we've seen in Surrey and communities south of the Fraser here in BC, and recognizing that those crimes have a local impact, but also are happening across Canada and do have a transnational impact. That recognition of that was behind our decision to involve Canada Border Service agencies in the BC Extortion Task Force from the very beginning, and their work has been integral to the results that we are seeing with 25 individuals now removed from Canada, over 110 under investigation. And I can confirm that this number of 25 is now higher, and that CBSA will be providing an update with updated figures next week. But certainly, CBSA is very key to our enforcement efforts to combat extortion in Surrey.
Recognizing Surrey Panorama.
Thank you to the Minister and Chair. Given that the Minister, when talking about extortions, said how closely the staff is working with the federal counterparts, and this being, an issue that would lend to some sort of discussion, you would think, and I will say I did ask, and the response earlier on I got was that it was a federal matter, but when I heard this story, I was very curious to look for the answer. So I was hoping that the Minister would also be looking for this answer so that police resources in British Columbia could be directed towards dealing with some of these deportations or overstays that are in place. So the Minister is asking the people of Surrey to live under threat of firebombs, shootings, extortions. Intelligence does tell us that most of the criminals involved are here illegally or have the active warrants out for them. And, I can't be told, the ministerial staff has not briefed the Minister on how many there are, and now we've got the people in BC living like this. So how do we justify, my question being is, how do we justify not looking into that issue and directing the police to help deal with it?
Recognizing the Minister of Public Safety.
Thank you very much. And I do think the question implies that there is not appropriate, adequate leveraging or advocacy or integration of federal resources and areas of responsibility. And to be clear, that I think the work that the member refers to isn't necessarily the role of police here in our communities, but it is the work of our federal partners, of Canada Border Service Agency. And that is why their involvement in the extortion task force is so key, allowing police to focus on their work, their investigative work, where the CBSA is able to focus on the removals that are contributing to significant developments in extortion cases. And we have, at every instance, engaged our federal counterparts in providing additional resources in terms of officers. There's been a significant increase in the number of CBSA representatives on the BC Extortion Task Force since its inception to present day. And that work is important and essential. And I've also been able to do some important advocacy of the federal government in terms of legislation, Bill C-12, and really urging the federal government to close loopholes in Canada's immigration system that have been exploited by people engaged with extortion. So I do agree, I think, with the member that we need to work very closely in a very coordinated and responsive way with our partners across all levels of policing and across all levels of government.